What's up, YouTube? So if jw.org comes complaining because we have a problem with their rhetoric and we're subjecting it to criticism, reporting it as some kind of news, trying to teach the truth contrary to what they believe, and please remind them of the Copyright Act of 1976, Section 107, and what is allowed under fair use. P.S. Also remind them that under federal law, it is a felony crime if someone commits pedophilia or sex abuse. So maybe they should start reporting that to the secular authorities instead of complaining about people criticizing their doctrines. Peace. What's up, everybody? It's been a while. And I'm sorry for that. There's no room for complacency. And I've been a little bogus. I have not thanked everybody for supporting me in these few videos I've made so far. So to all the ex-JWs, JWs who are still active and wondering, Protestants, Catholics, Buddhists, whoever watches, you know what I'm saying? Thank you for the support. I really appreciate it. And I'm making this video because it will be the intro to, I think I taped 4 of my elder meetings when I wrote 5 letters for reinstatement. So the inspiration for this comes from a video I watched 2 days ago that I'm sure a ton of people have seen. I think it's from London. It was a woman who was either a sister, a woman. We don't want to classify her as a sister because that's really an insult. So she's a woman, a nice person with a heart and a mind and feelings that are all disregarded by the elders in this video from, I think, 2013. So I will put a description, or a link rather, in the description of this video so that you can watch it if you haven't seen it. It is troubling and sad and infuriating because you watch her, or you rather listen to her, beg the elders in a few different ways, really, by way of her sentiment, which came across in her voice and her heartfelt expressions, and by way of her logic in trying to get them to understand that the rumors, that was one of my dogs, the rumors that she's been subjected to by Christians still in the congregation are 1, out of her control, 2, these people are misinformed, and 3, life happens to you no matter if you're in the organization or out. And I do feel like when I was a witness shunning people, you think it is as simple as, like, I'm not talking to them at meeting or if I pass them in the store or everyday life activities, but people need support and nourishment and stimulation like daily, because we are more complicated than plants, and plants need that. You know what I'm saying? So when you shame a person by abandoning them through shunning, you're really killing them. They start to starve psychologically and emotionally because what was nourishing them, their community, is gone. So my point is that I used to think it was just, I'm not saying hi, but people go through divorce, they go to doctor's appointments, they have surgeries, they lose their jobs, their cars break down and they need a ride to work. A ton of stuff like that we take for granted in general, but when your community's taken from you, surviving becomes hard until you figure it out. And that's probably why most people don't come back, because once you get put on an island, you struggle those first few days, relatively speaking, months, and then you figure out life and who will help you and who still has your back, no matter what interpretation of the Bible you believe, if any at all. And you then, most people who are being shunned then don't need JW anymore, because you figure, I shared this with my mom when I was first this fellowship, you figure out a way to make it, you know what I'm saying? So again, this video will be the intro to, I taped four out of 5 meetings because I wrote 5 letters. So I think I started voice recording after, like when they started to talk to me after I turned in my second letter. And it's ridiculous. So if it's crackly or it's low, turn up the volume, you know what I'm saying? But my point is, watching this woman be spoken to condescendingly, watching her like give her most sincere feelings to the elders, and hearing them obviously and verbally and literally say whatever to what you're saying, this is what we think, although we don't know it, this is what we hear. So now hearsay holds all this weight, where before, rumors and this and that and every talk you heard on the platform were things to be quickly extinguished in car groups or anywhere in a Christian setting with JWs. But the elders used rumors to tell her, we're going to keep you locked out of your community and cut off emotionally and socially, and you need to get your life in order. They say that like twice, if not 3 times. And this lady is like alone and dealing with an abusive ex-mate who's taking care of her son. And they're like, yeah, whatever. They actually are like, whatever, get your life straight. And maybe, because we've seen you with your life straight, and that made me think, why didn't you reinstate her? You know what I'm saying? And people are coming back for their friends and families. They're not coming back because they think God doesn't care about them, which is a profound thought to me, that if you thought God didn't care about you anymore, you probably would be less, I want to say like, well, let me say it like this. I'm saying it, the second part first. Let me say the first part first. I think people feel that God knows what they're thinking or feeling when they buy into a God monotheistic God complex doctrine, way of life, worship, whatever. So when JWs are shunned, they miss their families. You know what I'm saying? They miss their friends, which they should. That's natural. So when you're making an effort to come back, it's because you're lonely from your family. You're lonely from hearing from people, and your mobile phone is now remarkably more silent, and you feel like insecure and unsteady as far as steps you take decision wise, and very quickly thinking God doesn't care about you fades fast, and it's more about the material world and the physical. I don't mean material things, I mean like carbon and oxygen. Those things, the material world is what preoccupies you because you are nervous and lonely and depressed. And because of that, coming back turns into being about being able to talk to your friends and family. Because you don't think that, I thought that God wouldn't like abandon me. Like, no man can tell me God doesn't care about me, and if God ended the world tomorrow, that I would be done. No man can decide that for me. Like, I never believed that, although I did buy into my disfellowshipping for maybe 6 months until I heard things in those meetings that I'm gonna release. And that, like in this video from 2013 with the sister in London, that told me like, oh, this isn't God, this is just some stupid dudes with boxy briefcases and fake business attitudes who have no other real power in life. And so they're projecting onto me their ignorant discernings. And what's odd is that then took me down a path like, I need to make sure that this is the right place to be. And if I do come back, is this something I should be going door to door trying to be like Paul and persuade others into something that if we told them on the first meeting we had with them on their doorstep that if you mess up one day, you might not be able to talk to your friends and family, nobody would join, nobody would do it. So why would I encourage people into this after being reinstated and going back into ministry? If that were to happen, why would I bring people into something so hurtful and based not on God, because he's not talking to these dudes. God hasn't talked to, if you take the Bible at face value, God hasn't talked to anyone on earth for basically a good 17 or 1800 years. So why the heck, no, more 19 and some, 1900 some years. So why would God know how you feel, know you're sorry, know you won't do it again, and then let these men kick you out and cut you off and shame you publicly? So seeing her plead and scratch and sound lost and sound like she had no love in her life, and seeing those brothers deny her emotional support and safety. And that's the other thing too, like as a man you should be ashamed. Those 2 or 3 dudes, I think it was 3 dudes, they should be ashamed as men, not because women are weak, but because as a man you should be a support in your community. So I'm not saying a woman needs a man's support, but what I am saying is that a man should support men, women, and children who are hurt. And they didn't do that. Like, they were, I don't know a word bad enough to describe how whack these dudes were. You know what I'm saying? They're disgusting. So, if you're an elder, I got a disdain for you because you're a goon for the governing body, and they hand you down decrees to step on people's necks, and you do it without question. And there are a few who wake up and say, I'm done. But the majority do it. And it validates them, sadly. And that's what you see in this woman's video. You hear it. It's an audio, but you hear it. And it's disgusting, dude. It was the worst video or audio secret tape that I'd ever heard. I almost cried. I could have cried. It's terrible. So what I'm saying is, she inspired me to say, well, I'm going to release mine. And maybe people who are scratching and begging will start to hear and see these videos and tapes, recordings, and go, I'm not begging. They're nothing. They're flesh and bone. They're idiots. They're goons for 8 dudes who hide in a palace while other people have to scrimp and save to keep them in that palace. And that's nothing but every church in the world, big or small, hole in the wall or grandiose. That's every church. So watch it. And if you didn't watch my first 2 videos ever, watch those first, and then you'll see or hear what happened that led me up to those first 2 videos. I haven't been to the Kingdom Hall since my 5th letter discussion because I wrote a 5th letter. The original congregation received it from where I was going. So I got disfellowshipped in one town and started going to a Kingdom Hall like 20 minutes east of that town because my ex-wife was at the old place, and I didn't want to be like making her uncomfortable by coming there. That's foul. So I went to a town 20 minutes east, and my 5th letter got to those brothers, and they called me and set up a meeting. And then a few days later, the day of the meeting arrived, and then 2 hours before the meeting, they canceled it through a text message. I think he called me, didn't leave a voicemail, and then texted me that they're canceling the meeting because they need more information about this matter. So 2 weeks later, the congregation where I was going as a disfellowship JW, those 3 brothers met with me, and that'll be the last recording you hear. And that's when I decided in that meeting, like I sat there as close to out of body as you can get, and I was like, I'm a 40-year-old dude with bills and a job, and I'm sitting here groveling before these 3 dorks. No, I'm wrong. 2 dorks, because one of the dudes was cool. Like he seemed like I bought his sincerity. Like I didn't think he was putting on a show. I'm sorry. 2 dorks and a nice guy. So listen, let me know. You know what I'm saying? I welcome any comments, good or bad. It's been a long time. Peace. Hello.
Confused mess.
Oh, it's nothing,
Yeah, we're getting all our stuff right now.
brother.
Circuit overseer?
Mm-hmm.
It's good to meet you, Leon.
Oh, you too.
Leon Buggs,
Right.
Mike Kuhn, Tim Joseph,
Yeah.
Ryan Beal. I know you give a letter to the body, so that's kind of what we're
Okay.
responding with you right now. Our congregation assigned us three brothers to kind of to take care of your situation. So whatever happens from now on is going to be us probably,
Yeah.
Okay.
two of us or three of us, however many.
Okay.
So you know that. I guess the other thing is, obviously, all situations are different, and there's no specific rule that applies to every single one. We know the brothers from your old congregation are going to really have they're going to be dealing with this as well.
Okay.
But as of right now, I think we just got to tell you that it's too soon for us to really have any serious discussions, or because
Okay.
repentance of certain things. Like I said, there's no rules, but some things, time has to go by
Yeah, we have to see a pattern.
for a person to be able to
Okay.
really demonstrate, their thinking and things like that. So
Okay.
that's kind of where we're at right now.
Mhm.
Is that it's just too soon to actually have committee meetings about it and
Okay.
take the next steps. That being said, too, just as a thought, it's again. There's no rules, but if you can give us letters as often as you want. Probably, we're not going to tell you can or can't do that, but it's not necessarily it's not really required of you to think, oh, the more letters I send, the more they'll think I'm repentant, and the more, So you decide what you want to do there, but it can have a different effect too. Hey, he's not getting it. We tell him it's gonna, and so
Okay.
I don't want to tell you what to do there, but
No, I get your
we
point.
don't, we probably don't necessarily need a letter every month or whatever,
Okay.
however soon you're doing them.
Okay.
Yeah, and then like Brother Peterson and I, when we met last time with you, keep on, doing what you're doing, being at the meetings regularly, things like that. That's how we can tell that you're really in it, that you're really having a change of heart.
And that was my other question is there any other work besides that? Since there's no handbook or
Just keep up your.
anything
You know what?
about-
Yeah, you think of your relationship with Jehovah, right? What can you do with your relationship with Jehovah to try and say, hey, that was a course that I took, and I want to do this now. So, what can you do? Obviously, he arranges meetings, so you can be at the meetings. You can have all the things for the meetings, right? You can have your watchtower prepared. You can have the midweek meeting prepared, so you know all the details about it, even though you're not going to participate or whatever. But still, to me, that would show Jehovah, hey, I'm doing everything I can do, right?
Okay.
Stuff like that. And I don't know if you're doing that or not, but are you preparing for the meetings at all?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. It seems easier as time passes, I'll say, for that aspect. You get used to coming to the meeting fairly quickly if you don't stop.
Right. Yeah.
So I haven't
that's
had a feeling of like forget it, or if I'm sick or at work, that's the reason. But other than that,
Okay.
no negativity towards it.
Yeah. And it's a big difference between just driving to the meeting and sitting here and actually spending an hour at home thinking, okay, what's the watchtower about, and actually preparing it like the publishers are preparing.
Yeah.
So there's a difference.
Yeah, and then doing everything you can to strengthen your relationship with Jehovah, making sure that you have time set aside for personal study. You buy out the time. There was a really good illustration that was used once that, if you just try to fit something in, it's difficult. Just fit it in and then really benefit from it. Like, if you only have 20 minutes before you have to go to work, and you just fit in some food, you're not going to enjoy that meal. It's just to keep you going. But if you buy out the time, I'm going to set aside an hour, I'm going to have some good food, I'm going to prepare a good meal, you're going to really enjoy it and benefit from it more, indigestion and the like. It's the same thing with personal study. If you buy out the time, if you prepare it ahead of time, what you're going to be doing, how you're going to be doing it, use some of the tools that we've been given, JW broadcasting, things like that can really help.
Any other questions or anything?
No, that's my only question.
Okay, no, that's good. We're the ones you go ahead and ask us questions if you need to. We do want to assist you,
Okay.
but
For sure.
but listen to us when we say that. At least for your situation right now,
Okay.
it's assumed.
Okay.
Okay. But we care about you, so
that's perfect.
don't think we're not caring.
Yeah, we're glad to see you at the meetings.
Okay,
We really
for sure.
are.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right.
So that's important. Yeah, keep that up.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, thanks for
Thanks.
No,
thanks
thanks
for the meeting today.
So what's up? This will be the conclusion of every audio recording I release from my elders meetings. So I just want to say, leave comments and tell people so they can listen and understand that it's your life and you should take the time to research in order to understand how to feel and what to believe and how to walk through life in a way that makes you happy and satisfied while not harming and dogmatically challenging others and their paths to happiness and satisfaction. Because JW and their elder goons will try to make you feel like you're nothing and you can't connect to your creator or maker without them. Because they believe, which now to me, as bad as people give Mormons the business, JW is right there. It's like Mormon, JW, like the beginnings are many years apart, but equally peculiar, or almost as equally peculiar, because what JWs are essentially saying is that Jesus died in the eastern part of the world, the Middle Eastern part of the world, and God had only, according to the Christian Bible, or Christian holy book, the Bible, dealt with the Middle Eastern part of the world, and then all of a sudden, like at the turn of the century, he was like, I'm going to deal with a white dude who's got a lot of money, and he will be the one to bring my truth back to the world because Jesus didn't do a good enough job. So that's nuts to me. Like, they talk about Smith and Mormons, and he had the seer stones and nobody could see it or interpret it, and he never showed them the gold plates, and he buried them and they got either taken away or disappeared, and he was the only one privileged with the knowledge. But JWs have a similar origin that is just as ridiculous, in that some white dude didn't want to go to hell, so he reinterpreted the Bible to make hell a metaphor. That's their history. And now they want you to die on the operating table by refusing blood based on that, and to break up families and shun your mom or brother or sister or whoever, and judge you for God, literally, in their elder book, tell you you're gonna die because you committed a sin and you told people, but they don't believe you are really sorry. And that's a nuts way to live, because some white businessman in New York City didn't want to go to hell, so he reinterpreted the Bible to fit the destiny that he felt more comfortable about. And that's JW's. So, think twice when the elders are challenging you and pressuring you and asking you loaded trick questions, because they do ask you trick questions and they do hope that you forget what you said 6 months ago or 1 month ago. And they do talk to people behind your back to get information, because they're just going to assume you're lying when you meet with them. So screw it. Like, be the adult that you are, because no matter what the elders say, you still have to pay your bills, put gas in your car, feed your family, go to your job, try to sleep and feel secure, and the elders will not help you with any of that. And that is what real life is. So don't let them make you think less of yourself, because that's their job. They want you to break and to actually experience depression and loneliness, and that's sick. That's sick. That's just, why would you want someone to experience that to know they learned a lesson? Screw them. So, elders are the worst. You know what I'm saying? They're worse than the governing body to me, because the governing body, they're writing the crap and giving the dumb rules, and the elders do it. So they're worse. The elders could actually say, no, we think that this is harsh and we're not going to enforce it. And let the governing body just delete every elder. I dare them to do that. They already don't come down on pedophiles and drunkards because they would run out of elders. So let them try to stop a coup when elders literally actually man up and say, these are our families and we are not going to do your dumb shunning. And elders always would say, my dad would say a lot, elders aren't police, you are police. That's the, you're actually police, and you're the worst version of police, because police do detective work. A type of police, they do detective work, and elders can't do their job unless we snitch on each other or ourselves. So elders are terrible. I can't stand elders. Man, I can't stand elders. So unless you snitch on someone or yourself, elders have nothing. You can go in an elders meeting tomorrow and tell them you've been slanging rocks on the corner, you got a prostitute house, and you steal cars and sell them for parts. They'll disfellowship you on that lie, because they don't know anything. You can just make that up and they'll disfellowship you on it. Just made up. And they'll tell you, we prayed about what you told us, and the spirit of Jehovah led us to say that we need to disfellowship you because you've been selling drugs for years, according to your story, and you like prostitutes. And you can make that up and tell them, and they'll tell you they prayed about it, so you got to be disfellowshipped. That's how stupid they are. They don't know anything. Elders are the worst. Man. So I didn't say it before, I don't like elders because they're just pawns. Is it pawns? Pawns? Whatever they are is puppets. It's another P word. So listen to these, think about it, and don't let the elders bully you, because your life, that's what I was saying about work and your bills and your career and your keeping your house in good maintenance. All of that keeps going. Like, another trick is that they tell you you don't have God's spirit. And as a kid in JW, I would wonder, how come non-witnesses graduate from school, they get a nice job, they still experience sickness and death, they drive reasonably or very terrible or super expensive cars if they want. They have the same life, but our success was only based on if God blessed us. So if Jehovah blessed you, you would get a job. But a non-witness who does devil worship on Saturdays before watching Kung Fu marathons, they also have jobs. So I do remember one time being told that Satan is the source of the success of non-witnesses. But I met some non-witnesses who don't believe in God or Satan. So then who's blessing them? And there are cultures in the world that don't buy into these Christian ideologies of God, Satan, and Jesus. So who's making sure they have food on the table and go on vacation and support their sick mom when she gets cancer? I don't know. Well, actually I do. It's all made up garbage to control people and make money. So your life will continue without the elders, and you don't need God's help to be successful at work and to teach your children to share and to treat your wife nicely and to buy your husband a tie that doesn't light up, that he'll like to wear. Or to get a new car. You don't need to pray because banks don't pray. So why would banks only work if you pray? That's dumb. So that's what the elders trick you into believing, like your life is going to be shambly until you get back. And actually my life, after getting a house and buying a car and deciding if I want to go on vacation, like, it's easier or just the same. JWs aren't immune to sickness and death. So what's special about them? You got to ask yourself, like, why are they special? They don't have any unique Bible knowledge. They're preaching a message that has no proven latter-day fulfillment to preach. Jesus said preach. They did that basically 2,000 years ago. Where is it proven that a guy in New York would start this up again? I don't even think, New York didn't even exist, right? So don't let the elders punk you. Take back your life. Tell them no. Make them feel like they're the ones rejected. Because as cliche as it sounds, the power is in the people's hands. And with JW, it's in the women's hands. If women, especially mothers, challenge these bogus, whack husbands who know these foul things about pedophiles and double standards for ministerial servants and elders. And man, what was that movie with Reese Witherspoon and Tobey Maguire where like the world was black and white and then they experienced like some non-cookie cutter stuff and there was color in their world? What's that called? It's a trivia question. But the point is, that's how this is. So if you pull back the curtain, there's corruption. These bogus elder husbands know this, and they protect each other, or they create these allowances so this guy can keep serving and people don't see hypocrisy and double standards. So take your life back. The power is yours. That sounded like a He-Man cartoon, but it's true. Screw the elders. They are the worst. I saw something on like Dateline and they asked this lady who was in prison for murdering her boyfriend's ex-girlfriend. They asked her, who do you hate? And then she gave a prison rule that you hate cops, snitches, child molesters, chomos, child molesters. I'm going to add to the list elders because they're weak. Elders are weak. And that makes them terrible. They are not protecting their families. And they live by a double standard. And they're actually getting punked by the governing body. So you got cops. I like cops in this city. But after that, snitches, child molesters, and elders. And what's ironic is elders actually help child molesters. That's nuts. No pun intended. That's crazy. So that murderer lady was on to something. Peace.